we're live.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back from the holidays. I understand that Hanukkah, the 8th night of Hanukkah, was on Christmas Day. It doesn't get any better than that. We're all together celebrating on the same day. That's freaking awesome. So I'm Keenan. Welcome to Top to Bottom. I'm your guest. I'm here with Becc. Becc, where are you right now? Because you are not in San Francisco.
I am in Dallas, Texas. Plano in specific, y'all.
Plano.
Oh, I actually have gone horse riding quite a bit since I've been home.
Yeehaw!
Hold up.
Take the girl out of Texas. You can't take the Texas out of the girl. What?
I've lived in Plano for like 4 years now, and not once have I ever seen a horse in this area. What are you talking about, Becc?
Green Creek and Parker.
Really?
That's my mom's barn, and I'm thinking about getting a horse myself.
Just read your mom's.
Yeah, but Kenzie's really moody. Like, you look at her and she's like, I'm gonna kick you off. Like, I'm just gonna kick you off. And she's kicked off every single rider except for me, but I've only ridden her like 3 times. Usually I ride the nicer horses. So I'm thinking of getting a horse that's quote unquote in your pocket, which means that they're just like, they act like a kitty cat, like they're super nice and they don't kick you off. She's super smart though. Very pristine horse, can do a lot of stuff, which is why she like wants to kick you off at every turn.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. Okay, with that, we go on to our very first segment of the podcast, which is Email Teardown. This is the segment where we tear down emails and messages that were sent to Becc and Keenan. So let's go on to the first message of today. The subject for this email is quick question. And it says, hey, Keenan, saw that you were near Colorado, so I had to shoot you a message. We help management consulting businesses to better explain their services using storyboard animations. Mind if I send some more info? Kind regards. Keenan, what are your thoughts on this email?
You know, I'm curious, everybody paying attention. Do you guys like this segment? Because I feel like we're getting redundant. Not because we're redundant, but because everybody sends the same stupid, horrible emails over and over and over, and we say the same thing over and over, right? Verse 1, this is not personalized, right? I have no idea why some storyboard is going to help us in any way, shape, or form. If they're doing storyboards, he should have actually sent me a storyboard. Right? How about actually send me a storyboard, either a quick one on us or on yourself? Like how about a storyboard on management consulting and how you help them and why it's different and why storyboards drive more leads and more traffic and engagement than traditional emails? Like, storyboard it. Actually I should have won that shirt. They have a shirt that says the tell me economy is dead. We're in the show me economy. It was a perfect opportunity to show me what the fuck you're trying to sell me, and maybe you would have got my interest. But no, just do I have time? That whole email's dumb.
What about you, Becc? What do you think about this email?
Yeah, so I think the main thing, and I put a couple corrections in here. The first is, hey, Keenan, a little too casual right off the bat. But the main thing here is, saw that you're in Colorado.
Yeah, that was dumb.
But I'm like, where's the hook?
Yeah, what's the point?
Like, where is the hook? Where is the hook to bringing that up? And I think that it does. People think that it will do more, that it will do them good. And I'm like, it makes people read it more. But then more people think that you're disingenuous because you didn't hook it at all. You're talking about storyboarding in Colorado. So like, there wasn't even an attempt at a hook. So this is like fake personalization, I would call it, or like non-hooked personalization. So I'm like, there should be some effort of a tie. And the last one that I'll say here is help and better. If you're using any of these words in the value prop, help, better, more time, more money, save time, save money, leaving revenue on the table, lack of revenue. Like, it's like, then you're not in Problemville. You're in Benefitville. So, but the biggest umbrage of this is the personalization not being hooked.
What it is, though, because everybody can see it, no one's commented yet, which blows my mind. But notice that after I go, all of a sudden up pops this highly crafted breakdown of the email with little red boxes and everything. Guys, this is Becc. Beck's level of details off the charts. She saw this before and she highlighted what she wanted to talk about. I can't believe no one's brought that up. That's fucking genius. It's brilliant. I don't have that kind of time, but it's still brilliant. It's genius. Well done, Becc.
Well, on to our next message, which unfortunately does not have these red boxes, but we shall go forward.
The whole thing's a red box. That's why.
The whole thing's a red box. Yes. This is
I'm excited for this one, for people to read this one. Personally.
Oh,
Look at the timestamps in the messages, front to end.
Oh, 100%. On July 21st, this person texts or messages, "Time is moving fast. Just wanted to send you a quick message to congratulate you on your new role at Flip the Script. Enjoy." And then December 16th, like months later, 6 months later, says the same exact thing. "Time is moving fast. Just wanted to send you a quick message to congratulate you on your new role at Flip the Script. Enjoy." And then today, he or she messages, "Just noticed you're celebrating your job anniversary, Becc. How's it going? KR, D." I don't know what that means. But Becc, what do you think about this message?
What I feel like it speaks for itself. This is the result of automation. So what is tagging in here, I'd imagine, is I jumped on a board in July of this year. And so it sent a push notification that I was on a new board, but they thought that the automation read that it was a new job at Flip the Script, which Flip the Script I'd been at for 2 years. So it sends this message. And then I jumped on another board in December. So it sends the exact same message.
Oh, she wasn't paying attention.
I can't even see the timer.
Paying attention.
I even gave you a couple seconds just to see if you would close it out, Becc.
She was in La La. She had no idea what she was, dude.
I didn't. I didn't. I've been pretty rocked these last couple of weeks. Like, I'm like, just like, case in point, does the beanie make it better? Does it make it worse? I don't know. Vote online. Like,
I'm telling you, we need to get you a happy beanie. We need to get you a happy face beanie.
Yes.
Like, does it make it look more put together? Does it say, communicate?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But I've been rocked over the last couple of weeks. This message sucks, though. That's the point.
Yes, that's an awful message.
What happens with and then he says KR. I think it's kind regards. That's what it's short for. And then his first name, let's just call it, is Daniel. So I'm guessing that's kind regards, Daniel.
And with that, we go into our next.
Hi, Noreen. I want to say hi, Noreen. She's watching. What's up, sister?
For sure.
Yep.
Noreen, we got to hang out. You call me. You need to fix the beanie situation. We need to go out. Noreen, text me. Where are we going? We need to rectify what's going on right now on screen. Go ahead, Ben.
All right, for sure. And again, we're on to our next segment, which is
Sales Mythology.
This is the segment where we demystify common myths in the sales industry. So our first sales myth for today is buyers are always solving the problem of alleviating pain in the present. Becc, why don't you start us on this one?
Yeah. So I think that the reason that people believe this myth is because from an inbound perspective, that's usually what's happening, or it's higher likelihood that it's happening. Meaning people come to you a lot of times on an inbound line because they have a pain in the present. However, there are potential pains in the future that they might try to be avoiding, like a threat, or a definite pain in the future that they're trying to avoid. So I'd say even on an inbound line, it's not always meaning someone sought you out. It's not always going to be about the pain in the present. But that doesn't mention all of the problems that someone would solve if they understood information that they don't know. So pain, by definition, is subjective, and the patient has to notice it first. But I think the lion's share of where you can do outbound well, specifically outbound within prospecting, is by uncovering information about them that they didn't know about. So it's not a pain, meaning they didn't realize it, but it could become a problem once they do realize something that's going on that they didn't realize was happening to them currently. I'm going to pass to Keenan because he looks like he's about to bust.
Keenan, what are your thoughts?
I was just listening to Becc intently, actually.
I think I've just never noticed the face before then.
There you go. So I think what I want to talk about here is the answer is no. Okay, the answer is no. They're not always trying to solve the pain in the present. But what people don't understand is, and not discussed enough, and I think it's why gap selling is done so well and it's resonating with people, is they can't live alone. And we don't talk enough about this, and I don't think I talk enough about it. I just assume everybody gets it. The concept of solving pain and in the present is just a piece of the concept of getting to an outcome that you want, right? And so the tension between where somebody is today and the pain, whatever fucking words you want to use, the problems they're struggling with, the pain that's causing, the irritations they're having, the challenges they're having, are only relevant and germane to the point that there is a desired outcome they're trying to achieve, right? And so without that tension between the current state problems, pains, and challenges and the outcomes, the desired outcomes they want, it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. It just doesn't matter. So when I'm sick and I'm like, oh, I want to get out of it. No. And when I'm sick and all my head hurts and I got a fever and all that, I'm not focused on the pain. I am, but really what I want is the outcome. I want to go play football. I want to go skiing. I want to get back to work. I want to spend time with my kids. So without that tension, it doesn't matter. So no, they're not trying to solve the pain in the present. They're trying to figure out how that current pain or problem is inhibiting or preventing them or prohibiting them from actually getting to an outcome that's important to them where they want to live most of the time.
All right, on to the next
Wait,
myth.
no, we got to double down there.
All right, we're doubling down. Becc, tell us your thoughts.
What he's saying is so important, and I think most people miss it. That if there is no impact, like they're not going to solve it. They're not going to solve it. So I'll give you an example. And I've been hearing a lot about this, a lot of questions about this in training recently. That people are like, okay, so let's give you the example of the alarm clock that you use in your book. Like your alarm clock's broken. So business problem, like I've been late to work 8 times over the last month. So that's like, that's somewhat painful in the present. However, if there's no impact of I'm going to be let go if I'm late again, like if your boss is the kind of person that is never there on time either and doesn't give a crap if you show up on time and you can get your work done anyway, there is no reason to change. Like I'm not going to solve it. Another example is like, okay, if I'm a BDR and the way that I'm doing outreach is taking too much time, it's personalized, but it's taking too much time. And I've missed my activity metrics because of that. And I've missed my my KPI, my booked meetings quota because of that. If we're the kind of business that for some reason everyone's missing quota and nothing's going to happen to us because of it, like everyone's asleep at the wheel and no one actually cares about you missing quota, I'm not going to really solve for that. Why? Because there's nothing that happens to me if I don't do it. So it's like the opportunity cost in every decision is time, priority, because I got to figure out if this works. I got to figure out how to make it work in my situation. I'm not positive that it actually is going to work. I'm not positive it's not going to create another problem that I got to solve for. So like all of that opportunity cost of change is not going to happen unless, to Keenan's point, there is some type of impact that is going to happen to them if they don't solve for the problem. So I'm like, without that impact piece, like you not only know nothing, but like the buyer's not going to buy if there is no impact on them. So that was my rant.
And look, and again, I want to take what Becc said, and I can't emphasize enough the tension between the two.
Yeah.
So, let's just say using the dating concept, if I don't meet somebody, right, I'm going in the present, I'm going to be lonely. I'm not getting lucky, right? So I'm going to get frustrated. My self-esteem may be down. I may be depressed. I mean, all of these things are happening to me right now. I don't want to feel those things anymore. But that's not by itself. There is also the flip side that says, not only do I not want to feel these things, I want to have children. I want to have sex on a regular basis, right? I want to believe that someone thinks I'm special. I want to have a family. I want someone to spend my time with. I want that too. If you don't have the tension between the two, you don't have anything. You can't sell independently, and that's all we do. Very few people solve it together, and that's the point of the gap. So no, yeah, you just can't try to do it singular. You can't just focus on where I am now, and you can't just focus on, oh, I can give you this. You have to get the person to understand the tension point between where am I today and all the pain and problems and issues I'm having, and what do I actually want on the other side. Mm-hmm. So it's the impact and the desired outcome and the tension between the two.
All right, now we're on to the next myth of today, which is reminding people of their pain will mobilize them to want to buy. Keenan, what are your thoughts?
It's gonna motivate them to want to change, no question. And I don't like the word remind. I don't like that. So if we use the word help someone see where they are, 100%. Gap selling, 50% of gap selling, not weighted or anything, just simply is all about getting someone to look at where they are, right? So here you are now. You're not dating, or what was the one you use? You're not getting your activity metric, or I don't give a shit. You're walking, you're late to work every day. Like, I don't really care what it is, right? But my job as a salesperson is to get you to effectively and efficiently identify where am I today, and am I okay with where I am today? And if I'm okay with where I am today, we've done our job. Great, no reason to change. If you are not, then the question becomes, are you comfortable staying there? And if not, are you willing to change? And now that's where this is what you get if you change. Not just it goes away, but you get this as well, compounded, right? So yeah, no, I didn't forget the question was, but yes, you know my answer now.
What about you, Becc? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I think the key statement that I like to key in on is that it would mobilize them to want to buy. So like from an outbound perspective, if someone has pain and they haven't started to do something about it, reminding them of that pain, that they have that pain, is it going to be effective into making them do something about it? And the reason being, they've gotten by to date. That's what they're communicating to you is so far. Now, to Keenan's point, once they're in discovery, that's a key indicator that they have mobilized themselves to want to buy, to want to do something about it. So you have to identify it. But like preemptive strike, if you're trying to prospect and I'm like, just listing off pains, like I'm running into this slim part of the market who is ready to do something about it, but just hasn't done something about it yet. And like, that's why our outbound results are in the condition that they are. So I'm like, it's not going to remind them, like, unless it's super quick and super easy, it's not going to mobilize me to make especially a long-term purchase. So they have to know new information. Something new has to happen, a current event trigger, future event trigger, to mobilize them to finally do something about it. So reminding them that their pain exists, if they haven't done something about it, it's because they didn't think it was important enough.
That was beautifully done.
The impact was too high. The impact was too high.
We're on to our next segment, which is
Take it or leave it.
This is the segment where I introduce common sales tactics and Keenan and Becc let us know whether they would take it or leave it. The first one for today is good selling is always about being curious. Keenan, take it or leave it.
That's kind of narrow, but yeah, I'm taking it all the way. Look, I could spin an argument that it's not only about. I mean, that's pretty binary, but absolutely freaking 100 fearlessly. I'll go a step further. So you need to be fearlessly curious. One of my secret weapons that I haven't really been able to teach people yet in the book is my ability to have someone say something like, "Ooh, wait, what's that?" and be able to dig into that because I'm curious. Well, what did you mean by that? And not accept surface level answers. People accept surface level answers all the time. And they're not curious to what that means or what's underneath that. That's where my term define everything came from, because I'm so curious that when you just say, oh, yeah, things aren't going well, I'm like, wait. I'm too curious. What does that mean? What if they define things, define not going well, define it? Like, yeah, so no, curiosity is massive. Take it all day long.
All right, what about you, Becc? Take it or leave it?
I'm going to leave it, and here's why.
Good luck selling without curiosity.
I like that Keenan can't help himself from countering before he's even heard why.
I know.
I do love that.
I
do
know.
love that. We all love that, don't we, guys? Am I right?
That's passive aggressive. I learned about that the other
Best
day.
part. One of the real best. I don't know. I think it's
That's
pretty
passive aggressive. That's good.
It's
Okay, go
pretty
back.
active. It's on LinkedIn right now. So the reason I would leave it is because typically when I see reps embodying the principle of curiosity, they're curious about the wrong things. And they think that being curious in general will help drive good sales. You absolutely need to be curious, but curious about the problems that they know about, the root causes of it, the impact, the events that made them want to buy, and why they think that. And when I, generally speaking, see reps being curious, they're like, oh, so that's a nice curtain behind you. So where'd you get that curtain? And you're like, who gives a shit? Like, can you help me? And if you can't help me, how can you help me? Like they're curious about the wrong things. And that's why I'm going to say leave it. Is generally speaking, I don't want to see someone, I don't want someone to work for me that's like curious why, the screen's on in the background or like what show's on there. Like I need them to be curious about the right things in the rooms.
So let me ask you a question, Becc. So why isn't the answer?
He can't handle it when I have an opposing answer. Go ahead.
But no, here's my question. Why isn't it take it, but people are using it wrong? Because right? Why isn't take curiosity, but people using it wrong? Because all I kept thinking was, does speed make you a better football player? And your answer is no, because they're running in the wrong direction. No,
Yeah.
Speed is it's take it, but just use it differently. So that's my question. Why wasn't it that?
The reason it's a leave it is because, at one point it's like if someone's misusing a tool or misusing a concept.
Don't blame the tool, blame the handler.
But eventually it's just like take the tool away from them.
Ooh, like guns.
Like stop putting heat on the tool because by and large, statistically that they're going to use it incorrectly. So I'm like, why don't we just take away the tool for now?
Ooh. We know what Becc sits on the gun debate. Let's stir the pot.
All right, on to the next one for today, which is better questions are questions that make the buyer think in a different way. Becc, take it or leave it.
I'm going to leave it again. I think the definition, let's see if Keenan can hold it. Let's see if he can hold it. I think the definition of better questions should be questions that help you better diagnose. I don't think it's all about, to me, the goal of them. So the word better, it's better at what? So I think better questions are the ones that help you diagnose better what's going on, what's causing it, what's the impact that they know about and don't know about, and what do they think they know that's incorrect, that I can uncover that breadth of information with the most precise questions possible so they don't get question fatigue. So that's why I'm by and large going to be a leave it, because the definition of better should be better diagnose, not better make them think about it. A doctor doesn't make someone, oh, do you think there's a right solution? It's like, who gives a crap what they think? Like, really?
Oh. I really want to hear Keenan's counter to that. I can't stop.
It's simple. Everything Becc said with take it. That's it. Everything Becc said, but what Becc does, she keeps throwing out the baby with the bathwater. Everything Becc said, she defined better question. That is the better question. So when you ask, what are the fucking curtains, whatever the one, those aren't better questions. So it's everything Becc said with the appropriate take it.
I got you. And with that, we go on to my personal favorite segments, which is
the inbox.
Oh.
Yes.
Hey, wait, really quick while you do this. Is there a way for you to tell people how to send you the emails or send you the questions?
At the end of the podcast, I will be posting in the comments of this LinkedIn Live the link to our Google form where you can submit any question you have for Keenan and Becc.
Yes, let's get the questions in, people. Let's get them in.
100%. Now, this question is from Kim Lee from San Jose, California.
Kim Lee.
Yes, she asks, or he or she asks, our current customers have expressed satisfaction with our product, and we have less than 5% annual churn on our clients. However, referral business is low as ever and decreasing as we speak. Why could this be happening, and how can I fix it? Becc, why don't you start us off?
Well, I'd say there's two pieces of why it could, generally speaking, be happening. Number one, they're telling you that they're happy for NPS scores, but they're not actually happy. Like, you haven't actually solved the problem, and they're just being nice to you or giving you NPS scores. I think that NPS scores are, generally speaking, pretty misrepresentative on how happy someone is. Really, they don't know how happy they are. The other one that could be causing a decline in referrals is a decline in you asking for them. Being proactive and identifying someone in someone's network of, like, usually people, the stats will show that 87% of buyers, not even happy buyers, just buyers in general, would make a referral, but only, I think it's 7 or 9% of reps actually ask for one. So it could be a decline in you actually being proactive. Now, buyers don't want to put in a lot of effort to refer you. So, like, I need to be proactive about that of, like, I've identified these 3 people, not like, hey, if you ever think of anyone who could really value from my products, like, you know, give them a shout or give them my number, give them my number. So those could be 2 of the possible most likely root causes, I would think.
Actually, what about you, Keenan? What do you think?
I think everything Becc said. The only thing I would add is if it's not a decline in the asking for referrals, it could be just the approach and process. There's not a good one, right? So there's really not a standard approach and method to ask for them, to stay on top of it, to evaluate how it's working. So it could be just willy-nilly. So everything Becc said and then some. As far as the NPS score is concerned, though, I'd be really curious one of these days to hear Beck's opinion on NPS scores on accurate, because they're pretty simple. It's 8, 9, or 10, or 9 and 10, you'll refer. If you don't get a 9 and 10 refer, then your NPS scores basically get nothing. And so very few people will click 9 or 10. Mm-hmm. Very few. Like, you have to be a raving fan to click 9 or 10. So that's why I trust NPS scores, because they actually found that demarcation line where someone who's like, yeah, I like them. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to click 9 or 10. That 9 or 10 creates emotion. And that's a natural barrier. So I trust them. Mm-hmm.
All right. We're on to our next question, which is from Eric Holder from St. Louis, Missouri.
Wait, isn't he the old what do you call that? GA, Attorney General, AG for Obama? Eric Holder?
I have no idea.
Wow, maybe he's in sales.
I don't think I'm think I'm old enough to understand.
It's possible. You were a kid when
felt like
Obama
a nag. That felt like a nag. Man, I'm just gonna.
Oh, no. I was 7 whenever Obama was elected, so
think about that. That makes me feel old as dirt. That he was 7. I mean, that's fucked up.
Well, he asked, "Hey, Becc and Keenan, I was wondering if you guys had any advice on how to build and execute a territory plan." Keenan, you have any quick tips and advice for him?
Yeah. Who the fuck is a territory anymore? That's the first thing I want to know. Like, what is the point of a territory? Seriously.
He's the GA.
No, the AG, Attorney General. And they do. They're assigned cases in certain areas, but I digress. No, that's my first question. Like, why? Like, seriously, step back. Why do you have a territory? Okay? The internet is wide open. You should be able to touch anybody anywhere. So why you would tell one group of people only to attack business here and another only attack business here makes no sense to me. Now, if you're given a set of accounts and those accounts are in a territory, I still don't understand why. Territories were, oh, fuck. No, stop doing the territory.
Go ahead. You finish this out.
Now, I mean, look, don't have a territory. And if you have to force to have one, then basically sit down in that territory, find all the companies that fit your ICP in that territory, target them top to bottom. I talked about my book. Who are your A's, who are your B's, based on who's most important, and go get it. But that was a dumb question. It's just literally, it's like territory, 1988. Is this a joke? Mm-hmm. Like, Jesus. Becc, come on, you got to agree with me. There's absolutely no reason for territories.
We're past time, and I'm a rule abider.
Now. She's a rule abider now. See how that works? Now she's a rule abider.
I'm a rule abider. I'm a structure girl.
Oh, you're a structure girl?
For a different one for every
Like her
section.
toothbrushes, a different toothbrush for every day.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Which I still don't get my arms around.
And by the way, you said I have 5. I really have 6. There's one for Saturday and Sunday. I let my hair down on the weekends. Use the same toothbrush.
I just don't.
And razor.
A different razor for every day.
Mm-hmm.
Look, that'll get you in therapy. You might want to just keep that to yourself, and we can move on.
I think
Get the time. Let's hear Becc.
I think it's a lagging indicator of the efficacy of therapy.
Greg Christian, I think, wants a territory, has a territory, or whatever, because he said, "Forget the time. Let's hear Becc."
Yeah, Becc, what are your thoughts?
Forget the time. Okay, on building an appropriate territory plan.
Yes.
I agree with Keenan in terms of geo. Like, geo is probably the worst plan typically. Now, if it's like face-to-face, sales or B2C sales,
Yep.
okay, like I understand that much more. But specifically with the virtual turn that we had post-COVID, I would say it doesn't need to be geo-based. How I'd recommend that you build a territory is that you give reps a certain amount of accounts. One of the big things that I see people running into that they don't solve for at the beginning is they're like, I'm just going to divide all of these equally so that every time a new rep comes in, they have to redistribute equally, and then they have to change territories, and they're already working that territory. And like, they're just doing it for head's sake, because really, if you're personalized and you want to know your accounts within B2B, you can't know any more than 150. I'm sorry, you can't. Like, if you can name the decision makers, the key stakeholders, all the people that you think hypothetically would be involved, you can't know off the top of your brain more than 150, I would argue. So at that point, the reps are only trying to get more accounts in their name, because if someone inbounds, typically it's rooted to them. So there's a number of different ways that you can solve for that. I'd say generally speaking, always make the inbound pile equal and the outbound pile that wasn't sourced by the rep. And I would say limit the amount of accounts that AEs have to the ones that they're going to actually work. And no, it doesn't mean they sent one email in the last month so that they're working it, because you'll see a whole bunch of AEs just send one email on December 31st so they can claim the account for the next time. So I'd say no, absolutely no more than 150. And last tip I'll give, and then we'll transition, is I would give them the accounts and then put a separate number of accounts aside, that are not named to anyone. And when they come back and they're like, my accounts are BS, it's like, cool, Brendan, you can change in one of these accounts to your name. So it's up to you. Like, I'm going to give you the list and supply you, but then here's a whole bunch of bev accounts that you can switch and put in your name. You just can't have any more than 150. So you nail out like basically the excuse of like, Keenan's accounts are better than my accounts, and that's why he's selling more, or Keenan has more demos. So those would be
That's right, Becc. I'm selling more.
He's selling more, y'all. Maybe it's the hats. I don't think the hats are resonating in any color like that.
And with that, we go on to the next segment of this podcast, which is
the challenge.
This is the segment where Keenan and Becc break down a challenging subject within the sales industry. And today's challenge is how to multi-thread in an enterprise deal with a buying committee. Keenan, why don't you start us out on this one?
Define multi-thread.
I would assume multi-thread is talking to multiple decision makers or multiple buyers within one organization and possibly cold calling through multiple different channels within a company.
So how do you do that?
Yes.
Right.
Or how to deal with an enterprise deal with a buying committee.
All right. So the first thing you got to do is understand who's on the buying committee. Let's start there, right? Who's involved in the buying process? Then you got to ask yourself, who's directly involved with the buying committee? Does everybody have a say in the buying committee, or is it one person in the buying committee? I mean, one person who has the decision, but everybody else influences it. So first and foremost, you got to understand the level of influence and the level of responsibility and who actually is making the decision. Okay, what I'm trying to say is it decision by committee, or is it decision by one with a bunch of influencers? Okay. Then from there, you got to understand, where does each play? What is it? Is it procurement? Is it the C level? Is it then HR? And then is it IT? And let's say is finance? Like, what functional groups do they represent? And now here's the most important piece. Then within those functional groups, what is their role in the decision based on the outcome and based on the current existing problem. So if you're selling an IT, say you're selling software to HR and the problem that HR is dealing, this leads into my rant later. Let's just say you're selling software and that software goes into customer experience because it goes into the ticketing and reservation system, right? So you know that IT is going to be involved. You also know customer and marketing is going to be involved. Customer success is going to be involved. But HR may or may not be involved. But if they are, why? Why does HR have a say in what's going on with customer sat? Like, why are they part of this decision? If finance is involved, why is finance part of this decision? It has nothing to do with the finance team. So you have to understand what functional groups are involved, and then based on what you're selling, the problems and impacts and root cause you're trying to solve, what is the role? Why are they there? Why are they there? Once you do all of that, then you need to start engaging each of them on their own terms. So I know that HR is involved for these reasons, and because HR is involved, now I see why they're being used, and so therefore I understand what's important to HR, and then you gap it. What's important to HR? Why is that not where they want it to be today? What are the outcomes they're looking for? And then multiply that across every person. You literally gap sell in microcosms. What is Min's problem as head of finance? It's an IT thing that goes with marketing. Why is he involved? I see. It's about budget. Why is that budget so important to him? Where are they from a balance sheet perspective? Where are they from a P&L perspective? You know, what is Min's world currently? What does Min want to see, right? There's Min's gap. There's Beck's gap. There's Mary's gap. There you have it. That's how you do it.
All right, Becc, what do you think?
Yeah, so I think it's really, really smart what Keenan's saying of like you're evaluating.
Wait, stop, everybody tell the wait, record this. Oh, it's recorded good. I want the snippet. I want to play it in a GIF. It's really smart what Keenan said. It's really smart what Keenan said.
He just acts like I never just ever give him candy. Oh, you're so just abused.
Stop it, Beck. Stop it, Beck.
For the record, I think the second or third call I ever had with Keenan, I told him I thought he was a savant.
Oh.
Just for the record.
Yeah,
everyone's like,
10,000 sticks. 10,000
Beck's
sticks.
mean to Keenan. Go Keenan. We're Team Keenan on this thing. So I think it's really smart what he said. I'd even say what's brilliant about what you said is everyone's going to evaluate a purchase according to a different problem that it solves for them, according to a different metric that they have to achieve. So if you have like 10 buyers in there, and some are sales enablement, and some are sales ops, and some are sales leaders, and some are SDR leaders, then like you have 4 different sets of metrics that they're after, you know, like achieving, you know. So I would be thinking through, first of all, like just at the nascent stage, what are all the metrics that they're typically trying to solve for? What are all the typical goals that they're trying to get after? Now, where I see the real challenge entering for people, where they get flummoxed, is essentially that they're like, how do I get those buyers involved? Like, I have a first meeting with someone. This is the first person. And then I all of a sudden get a calendar invite, and there's 10 new people on this invite that I don't even know. Should I run discovery in the room? There's 10 of them. I only have 45 minutes. So how do I get a hold of them ahead of time? So I'd say the first key to that is you need to have a really, really great value-adding discovery with your first buyer so that they see that you're an advocate. They see that you're someone who helped them, who added value to them. So they see you as someone that they want to get in front of this buying committee. So I'd say there's square one. Like, they're going to keep you from the rest of the buying committee if they don't think that that's going to happen, because essentially if you reach out to them and I was the person that said that you can do that, that looks bad on me. So I'd say that's square one. The second thing that I would suggest is after you have that discovery, if you feel like you have that rapport, I'd actually say it's a lagging indicator that you don't have that rapport. They don't see you as valuable, is they won't let you go to the other buyers. I would be very, very important next step is to ask that first buyer, hey, we have this meeting on Thursday. There's 9 other people on this thing. Would you mind? I'm not going to do anything too much. Would you mind if I go ahead and reach out to them just with a message to prep them beforehand so they know what they're coming into, since I know you have so much on your plate. If you circumvent them statistically, that's the number one way to blow trust with anyone, is to circumvent them. So if I went around Keenan and I went to, someone who works for him, for instance, and I'm like, hey, I want to talk to you about something, and Keenan finds out, I'm hosed. I'm completely hosed in that deal, because they're like, if you're willing to go around me now, what else are you going to do within the engagement that I can't trust you on?
It's like cheating.
I know. I know. So I would ask them permission. And then when you're reaching out to each one, now I would weigh the cost of this, because this is going to take some time. I would reach out to each one of those buyers based on the problems that you uncovered for them in discovery with the first person. And I would try to get a conversation going with each one of those buyers ahead of time, so I can, to Keenan's point, tease out as much as of that data that I can, because it's a buying committee. So if I kill Keenan's problems, but I don't get Min's problems, or, Rachel's problems, or Ryan's problems, or whatever, if I don't nail those out, then I've just, from a percentage perspective, only really sold 1/10 of the room. So I would want to get a conversation going with each one of those as much as I can beforehand, of like, hey, so I can make the most of your time on Thursday. You'd be willing to give me, 10 to 15 minute call. These are the 3 problems we typically solve for the buyer persona. I know you're going to spend the time with me either way, but I'd rather, understand how we could, fit in your unique position. These are, again, these are the ones that we usually solve for your buyer persona, and see if you can get a 10 to 15 minute conversation with them outside of that call. And if not, it's like, if you can get an email chain going to like get some type of data of like, what would you want to see covered, hypothetically in this solution, but it's like, what problems are you running into that you wanted to solve with a solution like this in general, is a dialogue I try to get going before I go into the gauntlet of, I've got 10 people in that room and I've never even met any of them. Like, I'd get ahead of it, is the long and the short of that.
There's another piece I want to add in here. We'll call it the mortar. Right, so we both just gave you the bricks, and here's the mortar that very, very, very few people think about. Very few. When they have competing, and it's half the time, again, because they don't problem-centric sell. If you're not a gap seller, and let me be clear, gap selling is the only problem-centric selling methodology in the market. I don't care what everybody else tells you, it's the only one. Okay? If you don't properly gap sell and you don't uncover the problem, you cannot do this. And that's why people mess up. But one of the issues when it comes to buying committee is what Becc said. People have different objectives. They have different problems and issues, right? And if you can't solve for theirs, they're not interested. Here's the mortar, though. By demonstrating, or you need to demonstrate, let's say finance is like, it's just the budget. I can't go out of budget, and they're not going to budge, no pun intended, right? And your thing comes up above budget. If you can't highlight how the existing problem for HR is actually his or her problem too, regardless of budget, you're missing it. So it's not just, can I solve your problem and come in under budget? I may not be able to solve your problem and come in under budget or at budget. But you know what I can do is, if I'm really good, I can take the problem that's on the table and walk you through it to say, this is going to be a problem for you later, Mr. Finance girl or guy. So let me ask you this. Do you want to be off budget now, or do you want to be underwater by this later?
I took too long in my rant. Keep going.
Keenan, would you like to keep going?
Change the beating.
I think everybody got the point, and it's a powerful point. People are not very good at demonstrating how, for let's say HR, how the new Salesforce, I'm making it up, the new Salesforce implementation is, without doing it, is going to affect HR. So HR may want to step back and say, it's not your world, but let me show you how it actually is your problem. And most salespeople do not do that. Why? Because they don't know the problem. They haven't defined the problem. They haven't figured out the root causes. They don't know the impact. So they can't wrap that beautiful ball up like a present, like I do every fucking time, and say, HR, I hear you, but let me show you what happens if this isn't solved to you. You may not be here right now, but as Becc likes to say, you're going to feel this down the road. So let's see if we can start broadening your perspective.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and with that, we're on to our last segment, which is the rant, where Becc and Keenan give us our closing or their closing thoughts and share with us what's on their mind. So, Keenan, why don't you start us off? What is your rant for today?
My rant today is the bullshit of corporate America. And I'm open. I'm open. Someone give me an example. All corporate America listening, I'm fucking open to you proving me wrong, right? I'm sure there are some anecdotal examples, but it's rare. And I want to talk about Southwest right now. Southwest was all over every fucking college book and case study about a fucking great company are, and they're revolutionizing how they handle customers, and they're doing this and they're doing that. Well, they may have been that then, but they're not that now. And the reason that they're not that there now is two things. Number one is they choose to not own it. So right now, rather than saying we fucked up, no, every message that I'm seeing coming out of the brass at fucking Southwest is CYA, and they're trying to blame the weather, and they're trying to blame other bullshit.
Is it
and it's
flights?
not.
It's like flights. What's the problem?
They didn't invest in updating their reservation system. They have a super old reservation system that they kept trying to hold on to for whatever particular reason. It's a straight management problem. They brought it on themselves. Now, they've got over $15 billion in cash assets, cash and cash reserves. So it's not like they got no money. They got $22 billion in expenses every year. So if they don't make a fucking dime, which is an airline, they're going to make a dime, right? If they don't make a dime, they can go 6 months, right, without making a penny. So their runway is there. They had the cash. They had the money to make this investment, and they didn't. So number one, they didn't invest. Now they're paying the price, and this is what pisses me off. They're choosing to blame everybody but themselves. And I am sick and tired of corporate America fucking taking no accountability, no responsibility for their fuck-ups, and trying to push it down the lane or blame other people, but it's never their fault. Why? Because it all comes back to shareholder value and fucking legal consequences. God forbid they go on the record and say, yep, we fucked this up. We didn't invest like we should have. We didn't do this. They're worried about being sued. They're worrying about their stock price. Guys, if you're worried about your stock price, you would have made this fucking investment 6 months ago, a year ago, 2 or 3 years ago, taking the short-term hit for the long-term gain. But everybody needs money right now, right fucking this minute. Pay me, pay me, pay me, pay me, pay me, pay me, pay me. And this is what happens. Now people are stranded in fucking airports on Christmas. You should see DIA right now. There are thousands and thousands of bags sitting, roped off. People can't get around. Go look up these pictures of people stuck, their luggage stuck. It is an absolute fucking shit show in a regulated industry that gets subsidy from the government because these fucking douchebags only care about the short-term fucking dollar. And don't look me in the eye and say, I don't know what I'm talking about. I built this company I got now. Look, it's not a billion-dollar company. It's not a Fortune 500. 100% organic. Didn't take a dime from anybody. 50% CAGR year over year. And I do what's right because I'm in for the long game. I'm in for the long game, not the short game. And I'm tired of the short game. It's destroying us all.
All right, Becc, what is your rant for today?
Who do they try to blame?
Weather, mostly the weather.
Yeah, mostly the weather.
Then how did all the other airlines?
They updated their systems.
Well, on a side note, I don't know why they didn't, swipe the credit card. But on a side note, imagine if you had been the rep beforehand that was like, hey, if you don't buy this reservation system now, you might have a meltdown in the market and people might go on a rant about you and your stock prices might dip. And you might lose, have to cancel however many flights, and then you're going to be on national news, likely, if you don't now. That's all I'm thinking about is that sales rep. How many sales reps out there sell reservation systems?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I gotta ask, guys. Yep. This is about us to some degree.
Or because it's so big, it may be a homegrown, but still, I know they'd be working with a Bain or an Anderson. They bring in a big IT consulting company to help them with that, right? So whether it's off the shelf or whether it's a homegrown, there was a sale there. There was, and you know what, too? There was an internal sale. How about that one? Think about the culture. Think about the culture. Everybody talked about how great some Southwest culture is. Come on, all you fucking genius little case study people at Harvard and Yale and all that shit. Put your fucking thinking cap on now. What type of culture do you think has persisted inside of Southwest for the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years that they couldn't get that move? You know there were people saying, guys, we've got to get this upgrade. We've got to do this. We've got to do this. It's going to kill us. If you know there was. You know there was. And that person or persons kept getting squashed, right? Kept getting squashed. And why? What was the argument? And look, I went out and looked at the books, right? Unless they're doing something fucked up in the books. You can't say it's they couldn't afford it. You can't say that. Now, I could be wrong, and I'll fall on my sword if I am, but I don't think a reservation system costs $1 billion, right? And they have $15 billion in cash with, against $22 billion in operating expenses. Now, again, I'm sure it's more complex than that, but even if you're losing money, let's say you're losing $500 million, which is a lot, against that $22 billion, losing $500 million a month, you could go a whole year, but they weren't losing money. Okay, so how you can't figure out how to spend that money is beyond me, unless you've got some sort of earnings you got to make, and you're trying to make those earnings and that profit so you can pay the dividend and so you can drive stock price, whatever it is. To your point, that culture is going to be a shit show if people internally couldn't do it.
I'm just thinking you add that, you tack that back, to your point on accountability. I'm just thinking about it from sales context. I'm like, effectively, Southwest is like sweetheart, darling airline. Like that's how they're known.
Not anymore.
Not
anymore.
Right, because of one purchase.
Yep.
Wasn't made that someone could have gotten ahead of.
Yep.
My rant is much smaller, much smaller. I hear a lot of people say we need to change how salespeople are perceived. We're not all bad people. We're not all messed up. We're not all selfish. We're not all greedy. And they attribute who they need to change. Who needs to change is the person who's perceiving them. Not that I should change the perception of sales by selling differently. And the reason this came up in my mind, which is insane to me, they're like, we're not all bad, we're not all sleazy. And I'm like, but they're drawing a very healthy inference based on their experience with sales reps. Their perception, accurate perception, is not what needs to change. We're what needs to change. The reason it's triggered in my head is I've been studying French quite a bit recently.
Ooh la la, I know why.
Couple hours a day. You know why? Don't say it, Keenan.
I won't say a word.
No.
I'll let you announce it in the spring.
I've been studying it. Min looked shocked. Min's like, what? Okay. So I've been studying it quite a bit, and the word sale, which is S-A-L-E, is the French word for dirty. Sale means dirty. And
wow.
sales means dirty plural.
Wow. All right. I like that.
So I think we need to shift and change away from trying to change people's perception to like, a la one of my favorite Michael Jackson songs, like, look in the mirror, man.
Man in the mirror.
Yeah. Change what you're doing and then let the perception ride. So that's my biggest push, is how we change sales from being not dirty. I mean, the French language is always going to stick. But I'm like, is sell differently and have their back. That's my rant.
You know what they say? You know what ASG's tagline is? Change the way the world sells.
Au revoir.
Au revoir. All right, everybody. This was Keenan. Thank you for listening to Top to Bottom. I have no idea what episode this was. I'm with Min. I'm with
15.
Becc.
15.
Yes.
1-5.
So thanks for listening, everybody.
This is Becc. See you next week.